Hi, hello everyone. My name is Yosi. I am a game designer at Moonee. Today I'm going to show you, to talk to you about our game that I worked on in Moonee, named Makeover Run. It's going to be a case study about how we took a game that started with a not very promising test and took it to the top charts. So let's start with a bit about myself. So I came from a background in programming. I was a web developer at the IDF. When I was released outside, I started game development. I worked as a game developer in an AR games development company named Oodles. I also worked on my own game named Runner Night on mobile. It's actually available on Android. And at the start of 2020, I left Oodles. And by the middle of 2020, I started working at Moonee, where I am working today. While at Moonee, I worked on multiple interesting and published games. Other than Makeover Runs, I worked on Perfect Time, on Good Girl, Bad Girl. More recently, it was on Transformation 3D, and a lot of other really cool games. So let's talk a bit about Makeover Run. Makeover Run was one of our best games last year. It reached by the end of the year 50 million downloads. 30% of them were organics, which is very high for a game of hyper casual game. We reached the third top of the store at the free games category, and we actually stayed at the top for a very long time. The game was developed by Firebyte, a very cool game development company based in Romania. The developers were very responsive, very professional. We had a very good chemistry with them, which really helped us reach the level of quality that we needed to publish the game and make it the hit that it was. And let's talk about how it started. So Makeover Run came as an idea in a brainstorming session we had in the team. The subject of the brainstorming session was to take a game from the top of the charts, and which was not a runner, and make it a runner game. And so at the time there was a very popular casual game named Project Makeover, which was for a long time at the very top of the store. And I thought for myself, what if I could take the Makeover project game and make it a runner? And I started developing the idea, how can I make it a runner? And it came to me the idea of taking a character which will actually undergo a physical change, a visual change, while on the level. And so I thought that every level will have items that the player could pick up, and it will change the appearance of the character. So a hair straightener will make the hair straighten pretty, makeup will make the face prettier, clothing and things like that. But unfortunately, the first test was not very good. We got 50 cents CPI, 10% day one. The build was a bit undercooked, but it was looking pretty good visually, and usually with first result like that we would kill a game. But because I really believed in the idea and thought that it has potential, it was very unique, and I really thought that if we give it another chance, we could make it work. Then I decided to give the game an iteration, even though the pretty low first results. And so at the time I decided to pivot the visuals of the game to a more of a Ugly Betty kind of style. The character will be more like a geek, will have glasses and braces and more of a nerd kind of look. But as we were about to get the iteration, we noticed a really high increase in users in game analytics. Apparently, after a bit of an investigation, we found out that the game was trending on TikTok, that some users have created some videos of the game which received 100,000 of views. And we also noticed that the engagement of the organic users were much higher than the engagement of the user we got at the test. So we got a very stable 30% retention and higher playtime. And so we know that we have something that is really resonating with the player. We have a really good base there, and that kind of gave us the understanding that this game could be a really good hit. And so, as you maybe understand already, we decided to not do the visual change for the game. We understood that if the game went viral like that, it means that the visuals are resonating, that they are working, and there is no need to change the visuals. But we did decided to improve the gameplay of the game. We decided to add more depth. By adding the guy collections, like by the players collecting the right items, the guys will follow them through the level. And we added the bullies, which if the player will go by them unprotected, they will revert the player to their initial state. And if the players has the guys following them, the guys will protect them from the bullies. And we also improve the controls and polish the game a bit more. With that, we got our first real improvement. And when I'm talking about improvement, I'm talking about the bot the users we got from the test, not the organic users. And so the retention increased to 20% day one. We also find a much better creative, which gave us 35% CPI. Which was much better than before. This actually was the best creative that we got for the game. We never managed to go lower than 35 cent CPI, even on the Facebook platform. On other platforms we did, but those are usually actually lower. And so for the big improvements, so next we decided to really go in depth on the game and find like what are the biggest problems with the game. And so we understood that the win condition of the game right now was very, very unclear. So the win condition was always if you pick 2 or more good items and finish with them, you will pass the level and reach the guy. But there was no indication for that. And so if you noticed at the previous slides, we had an item, a shower item in the game. And the purpose of the shower item was to remove the stink effect. So what we did, we decided to remove the shower item, and instead the stink effect will be the indication of if for the player if they passed the level or if they didn't pass the level. And so when the player collected 2 or more items, the stink effect will be removed, and if they didn't collected 2 or more items, then the stink effect will stay and the player will not be able to pass the level. We also created a pretty strong meta, which also helped with the virality of the game. We created a chest key system, which is kind of standard and you probably know from a lot of other hyper casual games. but we created really unique skins. We had really fun with them, with a lot of pop culture characters, which helped also to push the organics further. We also had a fever mode, so if the player collected all the good items, they will have a spotlight over their head, and they will have a magnet power up that will attract the diamonds instead of them needing to collect the diamonds by hand. And with that, we got the really big improvement that we need for the game. Those KPIs were really good for the game. We got 35% day one and 650 playtime, which was much better, and these are the KPI that we needed to publish the game. And then we got to the final touch, so we have done a final improvement to the game to really get it to the top. And with the final touch, we decided to completely redesign the levels. With the next slide, I will show you a bit how I did it. And we decided to change the level ending. So we thought that only a kind of win-lose win condition was not great. And so we added the stairs at the end of the level, which each stair had a bully on it. And so the player had to reach the ending with enough guy followers to protect them from the bullies at the end, so they can reach the top of the stairs and get the guy. But even if the player did not reach the end, and only reached like the second stair, the third stair, they will still pass the level. And finally, we created an in-depth character creator. So we saw at the comments on the game that people started to request different skin colors, more customization options, and so we decided that for this game, even though it's not very standard for hyper-casual game, we decided to add a character creator. We also thought it will be very helpful for the organics, like the player can create characters that they can be more attached to, more personalized, and they can post those characters on social media, and this also will give us a real push on the virality of the game. With that, we reached 38% day one and 750 playtime, which was the KPIs we ran with up to the end. And as I promised before, I want to go through a bit on the level design. And so what you see here is part of the doc I sent to the developers for the level design. It's the first 5 levels of the game that I redesigned. From left to right, left is the first level, the right is the last level, is the 5th level. And let's go over them one by one. So for level 1, it was a very simple level. You can see we have a straight line of items. Basically, the players can do nothing and they will automatically collect all the required items and pass the level. I also added some additional bonus items, the diamonds and the key. So if the player wants to be a bit experimental, they can move around and try to collect the bonus item. And let's go for the second level. In the second level, we started introducing the obstacle, the bad items. In the second level, the players actually have to move around to collect all the good items and avoid the obstacles. On the third level, we added the choice path. And so at the middle of the level, we have 2 walls, which force the player to choose a path. The player will have to choose a path according to what they need for the progress of the level. It actually allowed us to create mini puzzles. So the player has to really think carefully about what items and what paths they will take in order to reach the end of the level the best way possible. And the 4th level we built on the paths. We also introduced for the first time the moving items. And for the 5th level, we actually built more on the moving items, but created a bit of a bonus level where it's much easier. The player will get a lot of guys and a lot of diamonds. So it's a kind of bonus level, a bit of a breather for the players. So because of the ramping up challenge from the previous levels. And lastly, let's talk a bit about the CPI and virality. And so the middle GIF that you see is the creative that was performing best for us. The one that gave us the 35 cent CPI. We used the Lonely Road song from Green Day, which matched the theme of the game. We started with a slow motion on the bullying, giving a bit of emphasis on the story of the game. And yeah, this is the creative that performed best for us on Facebook. And we also used different creatives on other social media. TikTok was the best performing one. We actually created a dedicated TikTok channel for Makeover Run. We also pushed the game on our main Moonee TikTok channel. And yeah, we use the special skins, which resembles popular characters. We try to combine a bit with different skin colors and some funny jokes. On the right, you can see a joke about the Disney live action remakes, which was a bit of a trending topic at the time. It's still a popular topic even today. And yeah, those things really drive the popularity of the game. We could saw on TikTok millions of views of different characters with different skin colors and different character builds. And so we saw that everything that we did really drive the virality of the game and push it forward. So let's summarize. I want you to take a few points with you for your games, and so I wanted to give you a bit of my tips of how to improve your game. So first of all, find a unique core. What makes your game unique? What drives the players to download the game? What is interesting in your game? For us, for our game, it was the unique story. It was we created kind of a Cinderella story inside the runner game, which started with bullying, and then the character is wanting a makeover, becoming more popular, and in the end, they reach their goal. They kiss the popular guy and get back at the bullies at the end. And so this was our unique core, and you see that we went with it from the start to the end, and this was the thing that drove our game from the start. And next, I want you to find the fundamental problems in your game and fix them. And so, again, the example of our game was the lack of depth of the gameplay at the start. It was the unclear win condition, and it was a kind of a messy level design, which we fixed by improving the level design, by making the win condition clear with the sync effect, and with adding depth to the gameplay with the bullies and the follower system. And in the end, understand your audience. What does your audience want? To really drive the KPIs of the game, the engagement, and to to push the virality forward. And so with our game, we know that our audience was over 90% female. And so we decided to make the skins and the character creator to give the players more creativity, to personalize their experience more, and for them to have something more to post on social media. And yeah, that was the presentation. I hope you all found something that you found new and something that you found useful for your games. And that was it. I will take some questions now. So let's see. The first questions: what are the advertising platforms did you use to test the game? So for a first test, we are always using Facebook. This test we tested on iOS and we advertised it on Facebook. After the initial test, we tested it on TikTok and in Unity and the rest of the platforms. But for the initial test, we are always testing Facebook. So let's see the second questions. Do you track revenue data before final touch or after final touch? So it changes. Not it was before the final touch part of the presentation for sure. With this game, we added the monetization right after we saw that the virality of the game is growing, because we wanted to monetize that. We know that we have a lot of users that are engaged in the game. We didn't want to lose all of that free money. And so we tested the monetization very, very early. Usually with other kind of games, which doesn't have this organic factor, we are adding monetization after we see we have a really good base for the game, like after we get over 30 day one and good CPI, then we decided that this game has high potential and we add the monetization. Was it easy to port the game to TikTok? We didn't port the game to TikTok. We have advertised it. We also made a TikTok channel especially for the game and posted our own videos. I don't know if to call it easy, but the game has a very high virality factor, so it was not that hard pushing it in the social media platforms. Another questions: in which country do you do your initial tests? So for us, the initial tests are mainly in the US. In some special cases, we will try games on other countries, but for this one, it was mainly the US at the start. If that is it and you don't have any more questions, then that was it. Again, I hope that you found this presentation useful, that you took something from it and will help you improve your own games. I was Yosi, and you can feel free to contact us in Moonee, and we would love to work with you.